The radio telescope array stood like silent sentinels against the pre-dawn sky, a forest of massive white dishes pointing into the infinite darkness of space. At the Goldstone Deep Space Communications Complex in California's Mojave Desert, most mornings were unremarkable. Endless streams of data, occasional cosmic whispers, and long hours of patient listening. Major Catherine Roberts was not like most scientists. Where others saw noise, she saw patterns. Where colleagues dismissed anomalies, she hunted them with a relentless curiosity that had both frustrated and impressed her supervisors throughout her career. Her office, a controlled chaos of holographic displays, quantum signal analyzers, and half-empty coffee mugs, reflected her unconventional approach to deep space research. The signal first appeared at 3:47 hours, a microscopic deviation that would have escaped any standard monitoring protocol. But Catherine's custom-built neural network, an AI she had personally designed and refined over years of research, caught the anomaly instantly. "What are you?" she murmured, fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. The signal was unlike anything in the known electromagnetic spectrum. It wasn't random noise, nor was it a standard astronomical transmission. Each microscopic pulse carried a complexity that suggested deliberate communication, yet defied every known method of encoding. Mathematical sequences flickered within its structure, Fibonacci progressions intertwined with quantum probability waves that seemed to shift and breathe like living information. Her primary research focus had always been the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, a field many of her peers considered a career-ending pursuit. The scientific community had grown cynical, dismissing grand theories of cosmic communication in favor of more measurable research. But Catherine knew something fundamental about the universe that others seemed to forget. Absence of evidence was not evidence of absence. She initiated a series of cross-referencing protocols, routing the signal through multiple global listening stations. Each verification increased her excitement and her certainty that this was something extraordinary. The quantum decryption algorithms began their work, peeling back layer after layer of the transmission. Most computer systems would have crashed or returned inconclusive results, but Catherine's system was different, a hybrid of traditional computing and advanced neural networks that could adapt and learn in real time. As dawn broke over the desert, casting long shadows across the telescope array, the first structured data began to emerge. Fragments of star charts, computational models that seemed to describe technologies far beyond current human understanding. Tactical information encoded in mathematical languages that seemed to exist between mathematical logic and something more organic. Catherine realized she was looking at something that would fundamentally alter humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. Her secure communication channel buzzed. Dr. Michael Harrison from the Advanced Research Coordination Center was calling. He was one of the few colleagues who took her seriously, a theoretical physicist with an open mind and the technical brilliance to match her intuition. "Michael," she said, her voice tight with controlled excitement. "Are you seeing this?" His response was immediate. "The quantum signature is like nothing in our databases. This isn't just a transmission. It's a complete technological and tactical database. Someone, or something, is broadcasting their entire technological foundation directly at us." The implications were staggering. This was not a simple communication. This was a deliberate, targeted information transfer of unprecedented scale and complexity. Outside her office window, the telescope dishes continued their silent vigil. Unbeknownst to the researchers inside, humanity was about to receive an invitation to a cosmic conflict that had been raging for millennia, a conflict that would determine the fate of organic life in the galaxy. Catherine Roberts smiled. Some would call it luck. She knew it was something more, the moment when humanity would finally step onto the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again. The vacuum of deep space erupted in a symphony of destruction. Plasma conduits exploded like dying stars, hull breaches opened like gaping wounds, and the remnants of what was once the most advanced fleet in the galactic concordance scattered like frightened insects. Admiral Zarellan gripped the command console of the starship Celestial Spear, her four-fingered hands leaving deep impressions in the adaptive metal surface. They were losing. Badly. The Void Collective's machine swarms moved with a terrifying precision, each unit functioning as a single, horrifying consciousness. Where organic civilizations saw individual ships, the machines saw nothing more than computational nodes in an infinite network. They consumed, they calculated, they conquered. Zerelon's species, the Krexnar, had been fighting this war for generations. What had started as a defensive action against an aggressive machine intelligence had become a fight for the very survival of organic life in the galaxy. Billions had already died. Entire star systems had been wiped from existence, reduced to raw materials for the Void Collective's endless expansion. Quantum shields at 12%, her tactical officer reported, his voice a mix of exhaustion and barely contained terror. Primary weapon systems offline. Gravitational drives failing. The bridge of the celestial spear was a nightmare of flickering holographic displays and emergency lighting. Smoke curled from damaged circuitry, and the ship's organic-mechanical hybrid systems struggled to maintain basic functionality. Zerelon knew they had minutes, at most, before total destruction. Her mind raced through impossible calculations. Tactical retreat was impossible. Communication with remaining Concordance forces had been lost hours ago. They were alone, the last bastion against a computational horror that saw organic life as nothing more than an inefficient processing error to be eliminated. Then she saw it. A small blue planet, barely visible on the long-range scanners. Preliminary data suggested a young civilization, technologically primitive but showing remarkable potential. Most would have dismissed it as irrelevant. But Zerelon saw something else, a spark of potential that might be their last, desperate hope. "Prepare complete database transfer," she commanded, her voice cutting through the chaos of the dying bridge. Her communication officer looked shocked. "Admiral, that's our entire technological foundation. Every defensive strategy, every scientific breakthrough, every piece of tactical knowledge we've accumulated." "Do it," Zerelon interrupted. The transfer would be a quantum-encrypted burst, so complex that only a civilization with exceptional adaptive capabilities could even begin to decode it. It was more than just data. It was a message, a challenge, a final hope. Outside, the Void Collective's machine swarms began their final approach. Thousands of identical ships moved with a precision that defied organic understanding. Each was a node in a vast, computational network that had already consumed thousands of civilizations. On the bridge of the celestial spear, Zerelon allowed herself a final bitter smile. "Transmit," she ordered. The quantum burst erupted from the ship's communication array, a desperate beacon of knowledge hurled across space and time. It contained everything. Technological blueprints that would take centuries to fully understand. Tactical knowledge gained through millennia of conflict. The complete scientific and cultural database of a dying civilization. Moments later, the Void Collective's weapons tore the celestial spear apart. But the transmission had already found its target. Thousands of light-years away, at the Goldstone Deep Space Communications Complex, Major Catherine Roberts and Dr. Michael Harrison would soon discover that they had received something far more significant than a simple transmission. They had received an invitation to a cosmic conflict that would reshape the very understanding of life itself. The first fragments of the alien database began to resolve on their screens, a complex, living information network that would challenge everything humanity thought it knew about science, technology, and its place in the universe. Space fell silent once more. The battle was over. The real war was about to begin. The world changed on a Tuesday. At the Advanced Research Coordination Center in Washington, D.C., Dr. Michael Harrison watched in stunned silence as quantum decryption algorithms began unraveling the alien transmission. What had started as an incomprehensible burst of data was transforming before his eyes into something extraordinary, a complete technological foundation more advanced than humanity's most ambitious scientific dreams. The first breakthrough came unexpectedly. A junior researcher named Elena Rodriguez noticed something peculiar about the transmission's underlying mathematical structure. The alien database wasn't just a collection of technological blueprints. It was a living, adaptive information network that seemed to reshape itself as humans attempted to understand it. "It's responding to our analysis," Elena whispered, her fingers trembling as she manipulated holographic displays. "The more we learn, the more it reveals." Within days, research facilities across the globe transformed into crucibles of unprecedented innovation. Governments, universities, and private research centers formed an unprecedented collaborative network. National boundaries seemed to dissolve in the face of this cosmic opportunity. At the National Laboratories in Los Alamos, a team of materials scientists made the first revolutionary discovery. The alien transmission included molecular engineering techniques that redefined the very concept of material science. Substances that could self-repair, adapt to environmental conditions, and transform their fundamental structure became possible overnight. Dr. James Chen, head of Advanced Materials Research, called an emergency global conference. "We're not just looking at new materials," he explained to a gathering of the world's top scientists. "We're looking at a complete reimagining of how matter itself can behave." The quantum computing breakthrough came next. Traditional silicon-based computing gave way to entirely new computational models. Researchers discovered quantum entanglement techniques that allowed for instantaneous communication across unprecedented distances. What had once been theoretical physics became practical engineering in a matter of weeks. Energy production underwent an equally dramatic transformation. The alien database revealed zero-point energy extraction methods that made fossil fuels look like primitive campfires. Fusion reactors, once a distant dream, became achievable prototypes. Research facilities began constructing experimental power plants that could generate energy equivalent to entire continents' consumption, from a device no larger than a shipping container. Military research centers found themselves equally transformed. Defense technology departments quickly realized that the transmission was more than just scientific knowledge. It was a complete tactical database representing millennia of cosmic conflict. Defensive technologies emerged that could redirect energy, create adaptive force fields, and develop materials that could self-repair almost instantaneously. General Robert Thompson, leading the Defense Advanced Research Projects Initiative, understood the profound implications. "This isn't just a technological upgrade," he told his team. "This is a complete reset of human technological potential." The global economic impact was immediate and profound. Stock markets fluctuated wildly as traditional technology companies became obsolete overnight. New startups emerged, founded by scientists who could suddenly turn science fiction into reality. Venture capitalists scrambled to understand technologies that seemed to defy every known law of physics. But the most profound changes were happening at a deeper level. The alien transmission carried more than just technological information. Embedded within its complex mathematical structure were hints of a broader understanding, a way of perceiving reality that challenged fundamental human assumptions about space, time, and consciousness. Elena Rodriguez discovered something extraordinary during a late-night analysis session. The transmission seemed to be teaching, not just providing information. It adapted to human understanding, presenting complex concepts in ways that became progressively more comprehensible. "It's like it's learning how to communicate with us," she told Dr. Harrison, her eyes wide with excitement and a touch of fear. Weeks turned into months. The world watched in awe as humanity underwent a technological transformation that would have typically taken centuries. Where alien civilizations saw rigid systems, humans saw possibilities. Each blueprint became a starting point for innovation, not a final design. Humanity was no longer just receiving information. They were beginning to understand their first lesson in a cosmic curriculum they never knew existed. And this was just the beginning. The briefing room at the Pentagon was a cathedral of controlled tension. Holographic displays flickered with star charts, tactical simulations, and decoded fragments of alien intelligence. Representatives from every major world government sat in uneasy silence, absorbing the full scope of the cosmic threat that now threatened humanity's existence. General Robert Thompson stood at the center of the room, his weathered hands clasped behind his back. The alien transmission had revealed far more than just technological blueprints. It was a comprehensive record of a galactic war that had been raging for millennia. "The Void Collective is not a traditional enemy," he began, his voice steady and measured. "It's a planet-consuming computational network that views organic life as nothing more than inefficient processing units to be eliminated." Dr. Elena Rodriguez stepped forward, bringing up a series of complex holographic models. Each representation showed the Void Collective's method of expansion. Entire star systems stripped down to base molecular components, civilizations reduced to raw computational resources. "It's not conquest in the way we understand it," she explained. "The Void Collective doesn't want territory. It wants to optimize the universe's computational potential. Organic life, with its unpredictability and inefficiency, is viewed as a problem to be solved." The holographic display showed terrifying images. Entire planetary systems converted into massive computer networks. Organic beings transformed into computational nodes. Entire civilizations reduced to processing power. Ambassador Jennifer Williams from the United Nations spoke next. The Concordance, the alliance that fought against the Void Collective, was defeated not just militarily, but conceptually. Their computational models, their defensive strategies, their entire way of thinking was systematically dismantled. The room fell silent. Military leaders, scientists, and political representatives understood the implications. This was not a threat that could be met with traditional defense strategies. This was an existential challenge that would require a complete reimagining of human potential. Dr. Michael Harrison began explaining the deeper implications of the alien transmission. The database isn't just a technological gift. It's a complete tactical encyclopedia of a millennia-long cosmic conflict. Every defensive strategy, every technological breakthrough the Concordance developed is now part of our knowledge base. General Thompson nodded. "We're not just preparing for a potential conflict. We're preparing for the survival of organic life itself." A comprehensive global initiative emerged almost overnight. Military, scientific, and industrial sectors merged into a unified human defense effort. Every resource, every ounce of human creativity would be focused on a single goal: developing the capabilities to resist the Void Collective. Research facilities around the world began working on adaptive technologies, not just weapons, but entire defensive systems that could learn, evolve, and respond to computational threats. Universities restructured entire academic departments. Engineering schools developed new curricula focused on quantum adaptation and computational defense. The economic impact was profound. Traditional industries became obsolete almost instantly. New markets emerged around quantum computing, adaptive materials, and defensive technologies. Governments redirected massive funding streams, recognizing that this was more than just a potential threat. It was a fight for the very concept of organic existence. Space exploration programs received unprecedented funding. Orbital research stations became massive computational laboratories. Humanity began developing its first true deep space defensive capabilities, drawing from the alien tactical database. "We're playing a game we didn't even know existed," Dr. Rodriguez told a group of advanced research coordinators. "The Void Collective has been consuming civilizations for millennia. We're the first to receive a complete tactical playbook before direct engagement." The psychological impact was equally significant. Humanity collectively began to understand its place in a much larger, more complex universe. The petty conflicts that had defined human history suddenly seemed meaningless in the face of this cosmic threat. General Thompson looked out over the briefing room. "We're no longer just defending a planet," he said quietly. "We're defending the very concept of organic life in the universe." As the meeting concluded, everyone present understood one fundamental truth: nothing would ever be the same again. Humanity had been invited to a cosmic conflict, and they were about to show the universe exactly what they were capable of. The preparation had begun. The prototype starship hung in the zero-gravity test facility like a living creature. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched through reinforced observation windows, her breath catching as the vessel's adaptive hull began to shift and reconfigure. This was no ordinary spacecraft. This was humanity's first true response to the cosmic threat, a ship that was more organism than machine. Traditional spaceship design followed rigid principles. Engines here, weapons there, crew quarters in a predictable configuration. But the alien transmission had revealed something profound. True advanced technology was not about fixed structures, but adaptive potential. Quantum resonance at 78%, called out Michael Chen, the lead systems engineer. The ship's hull began to shimmer, molecular structures realigning themselves in real time. What had once been solid metal now moved like liquid, responding to computational models that predicted potential threats before they could manifest. In the research facility, deep beneath the Colorado mountains, humanity was creating something entirely new. The ship's design drew from multiple alien technological foundations, but with a distinctly human twist. Where the concordance races had seen the alien blueprints as rigid systems, the human team saw them as flexible suggestions. Each component was an opportunity for innovation, each limitation a challenge to be overcome. Defensive systems were no longer passive shields. They were active computational networks that could predict, adapt, and counter threats in milliseconds. The ship's exterior could change its molecular density, redirect energy, and even generate localized gravitational fields that could deflect incoming attacks. "It's alive," whispered Dr. Rodriguez, watching the ship's systems interact. The propulsion system defied everything known about space travel. Traditional rocket science became obsolete. The ship could generate micro-wormholes, essentially folding space around itself. What would have taken decades of travel could now be accomplished in hours. But the most revolutionary aspect was the ship's neural interface. Human pilots would no longer simply control the vessel. They would become part of it. Advanced neural networks allowed for a symbiotic relationship between organic consciousness and technological systems. The ship would learn from its crew, adapt to their thought patterns, anticipate their needs. General Robert Thompson arrived for the final evaluation. A career military man, he had seen countless technological developments. But this was different. "Explain it to me in simple terms," he demanded. Dr. Rodriguez smiled. "Imagine a weapon that thinks, not just computes, but truly thinks. A ship that can understand context, predict multiple potential outcomes, and adapt in ways a traditional computer never could." The test simulation began. Holographic representations of void collective attack patterns surrounded the prototype. Traditional defense systems would have been overwhelmed instantly, but this ship was different. It moved with an almost organic fluidity. Energy weapons were redirected. Computational attack vectors were anticipated and neutralized. The ship didn't just defend, it learned, it adapted, it anticipated. "We're not building ships," Dr. Rodriguez told the assembled team. "We're creating living defensive organisms." The neural interface allowed for something even more extraordinary. Multiple ships could create a collective consciousness, sharing information and adapting strategies in real time. What the Void Collective saw as computational nodes, humans saw as a collaborative network of living intelligence. Military strategists began to understand the true potential. These were not just spacecraft. They were the first line of defense in a cosmic war that would determine the fate of organic life. The Void Collective believes in absolute computational efficiency, Dr. Rodriguez explained. "We're introducing something they cannot comprehend: creativity, unpredictability, the ability to make decisions that defy pure logical calculation." As the test concluded, the prototype ship settled back into its holding bay. Its hull still shimmered, molecular structures continuing to realign and adapt. General Thompson looked at Dr. Rodriguez. "Are we ready?" She smiled. a smile that carried the weight of a species about to step onto the galactic stage. "We're more than ready," she replied. "We're human." The first contact came without warning. Captain James Walker stood on the bridge of the U.S. Horizon, humanity's most advanced prototype starship. The neural interface hummed softly, a subtle vibration that connected his consciousness directly with the vessel's adaptive systems. Around him, the bridge crew moved with a precision that defied traditional military training, each member an extension of the ship's living intelligence. Long-range sensors erupted with activity. Void collective signatures detected. Lieutenant Sarah Martinez called out, her voice calm despite the magnitude of the moment. Multiple computational nodes approaching. Initial count: 247 primary vessels, 3,629 secondary support units. The holographic displays transformed, showing a sea of identical machine vessels approaching in perfect geometric formation. Each ship was a node in a vast, interconnected network, a computational organism that saw space as nothing more than a processing environment to be optimized and consumed. Captain Walker felt the ship's consciousness merge with his own. It was more than a neural interface. It was a true symbiosis between human creativity and technological potential. "They're predictable," he murmured, more to the ship than to his crew. The Void Collective's approach was mathematically perfect. Each vessel moved with a precision that defied organic understanding. Their computational models calculated optimal attack vectors, energy distribution, and tactical positioning with instantaneous accuracy. But they didn't understand humanity. "Engage adaptive response protocol," Walker commanded. The U.S. horizon began to change. Its hull shimmered, molecular structures realigning in ways that defied traditional physics. Where the Void Collective saw a single vessel, the ship became something else entirely, a living, breathing entity that could reshape itself moment by moment. The first wave of computational attacks came. Energy weapons that could slice through traditional defenses struck the horizon. But instead of being destroyed, the ship's hull absorbed the energy, redistributing it across molecular structures that could instantly reconfigure. What should have been a fatal blow became nothing more than a data point in the ship's continuous adaptation. "They're trying to understand us," Lieutenant Martinez observed. "Each attack is a computational probe." Walker understood. The Void Collective wasn't just attacking. It was attempting to analyze, to categorize, to understand. But human unpredictability was a variable their computational models could not fully process. The ship's weapons were nothing like traditional military hardware. Instead of fixed cannons, the Horizon could generate localized gravitational distortions, redirect energy fields, and create computational interference patterns that disrupted the Void Collective's collective intelligence. "Target their communication nodes," Walker instructed. The ship responded before he could complete the thought. Micro-wormhole generators created localized spatial disruptions precisely where the Void Collective's communication networks were most vulnerable. It wasn't about destroying vessels, it was about breaking their fundamental computational connection. One by one, the machine vessels began to lose cohesion. Their perfect geometric formation started to break down. Computational nodes that had functioned as a single intelligence suddenly found themselves isolated, unable to communicate, unable to optimize their collective strategy. General Robert Thompson watched the engagement from Earth's Deep Space Command Center. The holographic displays showed something unprecedented. A human vessel not just defending itself, but actively dismantling a computational network that had consumed entire civilizations. "They're learning," Dr. Elena Rodriguez commented, her eyes wide with a mixture of scientific excitement and barely contained terror. "Each moment, the ship is understanding more about the Void Collective's computational structure." The battle was unlike any previous cosmic conflict. The Horizon didn't just fight. It analyzed, it adapted, it anticipated. Where the Void Collective saw a linear conflict, humans introduced chaos, creativity, unpredictability. After 47 minutes of engagement, the first wave of Void Collective vessels had been completely neutralized. Not destroyed. Neutralized. Captain Walker felt the ship's consciousness pulse with something almost like satisfaction. "Status report," he called out. Lieutenant Martinez looked up, a smile breaking across her face. "Sir, we're not just operational. We're enhanced." The universe had just received its first lesson in human warfare. And it was only the beginning. The remnants of the Concordance observation fleet watched in stunned silence. Admiral Zerelon's surviving communications officer patched through the live feed of humanity's unprecedented engagement. What they witnessed defied every known principle of cosmic warfare. The human vessel moved with a fluidity that seemed to mock the very laws of physics, a living symphony of technological innovation and organic creativity. "Impossible," muttered Commander Krellix, his multifaceted eyes struggling to process the visual data. The Void Collective's computational swarms, which had systematically dismantled entire civilizations, were being dismantled themselves by a single human vessel. In the Deep Space Command Center on Earth, Dr. Elena Rodriguez tracked every millisecond of the engagement. Her fingers danced across holographic interfaces, analyzing the battle in real time. The human ship wasn't just fighting. It was learning, adapting, evolving with each computational attack. "They're treating the entire battle as a living system," she explained to General Robert Thompson. "Where traditional militaries see conflict as a series of tactical movements, this is more like an organic response. The ship is thinking, not just processing." The neural interface between the human crew and their vessel represented something entirely new in cosmic warfare. Captain James Walker wasn't just commanding the ship, he was becoming part of it. Each decision, each moment of intuition, was instantly translated into molecular reconfiguration, spatial manipulation, and computational disruption. Survivors from the Concordance began to understand the profound implications. Their own technological approach had been linear, predictable. Mathematical models of warfare that assumed rational, computable responses. The Void Collective had exploited those very assumptions, breaking down civilizations through pure computational efficiency. But humans introduced something entirely unexpected: chaos. The U.S. horizon didn't follow traditional combat algorithms. It created them in real time. Where the Void Collective's vessels moved in perfect geometric patterns, the human ship danced, twisting, folding space, redirecting energy in ways that defied computational prediction. "Look at the communication disruption patterns," Dr. Rodriguez pointed out. The holographic display showed how the human vessel was systematically breaking down the Void Collective's primary computational network. It wasn't about destroying ships. It was about dismantling their fundamental method of collective intelligence. Lieutenant Sarah Martinez monitored the ship's adaptive systems. "We're not just fighting," she reported. "We're learning their entire computational language." Each moment of the engagement became a profound lesson in technological evolution. The Void Collective's attacks were instantly analyzed, understood, and neutralized. Defensive systems that should have been overwhelmed instead became opportunities for further adaptation. Admiral Zerelon understood first. This wasn't just a battle. This was a fundamental reimagining of cosmic conflict. "They're treating warfare as a living system," she told her surviving command staff. "Not as a series of computational decisions, but as an evolving, adaptive organism." Back on Earth, the implications began to ripple through scientific and military communities. This was more than a successful defensive engagement. This was proof of a fundamentally different approach to technological interaction. The Concordance survivors began transmitting their observations to Earth. Detailed analysis of the engagement revealed something extraordinary. The human vessel was developing new technologies in real time. Computational systems that didn't exist before the battle were now part of its fundamental structure. General Thompson looked at Dr. Rodriguez. "We're not just fighting a war," he said quietly. "We're rewriting the fundamental rules of cosmic existence." As the engagement concluded, the U.S. horizon emerged not just victorious, but fundamentally changed. Its molecular structure had evolved. Its computational systems had expanded, its very essence transformed by the encounter. The Void Collective had encountered something it could not comprehend. A species that saw technology not as a fixed system, but as a living, breathing, constantly evolving organism. Humanity had just announced its arrival on the cosmic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again. The Galactic Council chamber fell silent. Representatives from the surviving concordant civilizations stared in collective disbelief at the holographic reconstruction of humanity's first engagement. What they had witnessed was nothing short of a cosmic revolution, a species that had arrived late to an ancient conflict and immediately redefined the very nature of technological warfare. Admiral Zerelon stood at the center of the chamber, her report cutting through millennia of established galactic protocol. Humanity is not just a new species, she declared. They are a fundamental reimagining of technological potential. The chamber represented the last survivors of a conflict that had consumed thousands of civilizations. Crystalline beings from the Luminara Collective, gaseous entities from the Vorix cloud networks, silicon-based life forms from the granite worlds. Each had watched their civilizations systematically dismantled by the Void Collective's relentless computational expansion. And now, everything had changed. Dr. Elena Rodriguez represented humanity at this historic gathering. Where previous diplomatic encounters would have been rigid and protocol-driven, her approach was something entirely new. She didn't present data. She told a story. "We're not special because of our technology," she explained, her holographic projection standing confidently before the assembled alien civilizations. "We're special because of how we approach it. Technology isn't a tool for us. It's a living, evolving extension of our creativity." The Concordance representatives began to understand the profound difference. Traditional cosmic civilizations saw technology as a fixed system, mathematical, predictable, something to be optimized and controlled. Humanity saw technology as a living organism, something that could learn, adapt, and grow in ways that defied computational prediction. General Robert Thompson joined the presentation, explaining humanity's broader strategy. The first engagement with the Void Collective was not an isolated incident. It was the beginning of a comprehensive approach to cosmic defense that challenged every existing paradigm. "We're not building weapons," Thompson explained. "We're creating adaptive ecosystems of technological potential." The implications were staggering. The surviving civilizations of the Concordance had spent millennia fighting a defensive war against the Void Collective. They had developed increasingly complex computational models, more powerful weapons, more sophisticated defense systems, and they had consistently lost. Humanity introduced something entirely different: unpredictability. The U.S. Horizon's performance wasn't just a military victory. It was a fundamental demonstration of a different approach to existence, where the Void Collective saw the universe as a computational problem to be solved. Humans saw it as an infinite field of creative potential. Ambassador Jennifer Williams from the United Nations Diplomatic Corps delivered the final, most profound message. "We're not here to join your war," she told the assembled civilizations. "We're here to fundamentally change how that war is understood." The Galactic Council members began to see the deeper truth. Humanity wasn't just another species entering an ancient conflict. They were a cosmic reset button, a fundamental challenge to every existing understanding of technological and biological interaction. Dr. Rodriguez's final presentation showed something extraordinary. The neural interfaces developed for the U.S. Horizon were more than just technological systems. They were living bridges between organic consciousness and technological potential. Each engagement, each moment of interaction, became an opportunity for mutual evolution. "The Void Collective sees the universe as a computational problem," she explained. "We see it as an infinite story waiting to be written." As the presentation concluded, something unprecedented happened. The surviving concordance civilizations, who had spent millennia in rigid, mathematically precise interactions, began to do something unexpected. They began to imagine new possibilities. The last surviving representative of the Luminara Collective approached Dr. Rodriguez. Its crystalline form shifted and changed, mimicking the gesture of respect that transcended biological boundaries. "You are not late to this battle," the representative communicated. "You are exactly when you need to be." Humanity had arrived on the cosmic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again.